The Real Deal Show. Brought to you by ebodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards. Hey everybody, welcome to The Real Deal Show on location here in El Salvador for the Bodyboard Holidays trip. We love to come here. This is our 6th time here. And the last couple years we've been graced with the wonderful presence of the man that you see sitting here next to me. From Portugal, this is Joao Veiga. Welcome, Joal.
My pleasure, Jay.
Excellent. I'm working on the pronunciation of the name Joal. It's got to be a little more nasal at the end, right? Like Joal.
Yes. It's a very typical expression on Portuguese language. It's with the nose. You have to speak a little bit with the nose, close the mouth, and say João.
Okay, I'm working on it.
Juan is easier, huh?
Well, yes, but that's right. So it's basically the same as John in English.
Exactly.
Or Juan in Spanish. Very common name in Portugal.
Yes, the most common name in Portugal.
Yeah, a lot of Joals in Portugal. So you got to learn how to say it if you ever go to Portugal or Brazil for that matter. But anyway, we've gotten off track here. I want to talk about this guy. He is a true Renaissance man. Joao, you are, I believe, 41 years old now?
Yes, going to turn 42 in a while.
Okay,
exactly.
Got it. And Joao has been bodyboarding most of his life. He has a few degrees, I believe, in law.
Yeah, naturopathy.
What is it?
Naturopathy. It's kind of
naturopathy in
natural
English.
medicine.
Yep.
Yeah, we can call it natural medicine.
That's amazing. So we're going to get into that.
Sure.
But I want to go back, wind the clock back as I do every time I do an interview like this, and talk about the beginnings of your bodyboarding days. So you're from Porto in Portugal, which is a beautiful city further to the north from Lisbon. Did you grow up in Porto?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Porto.
Yep.
But actually I started bodyboarding further north on the coldest beach of Portugal.
Which is?
Moledo, it's called Moledo.
Okay.
It's a very beautiful beach, village that has a little bit of everything. You have beach, mountain, river, forest.
Wow.
It's a very cozy village. Gets busy in the summer.
Yeah.
But other than that, you always have you find lots of peace there and good waves too.
Is it close to the Spanish border?
Yes, you're basically surfing. You're surfing and facing north, you see a mountain that it's already Spain.
Wow,
yeah,
no kidding.
It's crazy, it's very beautiful.
So Portugal has a long history of people connected to the ocean that goes so far back. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of years, some of the first explorers in the ocean. So I think Portuguese in general have a strong connection to the ocean, not just with surfing and bodyboarding, but as fishermen and explorers on the sea. I mean, do you feel any of that old connection as a Portuguese person?
For sure. We have a strong connection to the ocean. We have really good waves for every type of riding. So we have from big waves to wedges, small waves, beginner waves.
Yeah.
And it's not only about waves, it's we have a lot of fishing tradition. You got a lot of small fishing villages, very typical.
Yeah, old school Europe.
Yeah.
If you want to feel like you're in old Europe, a trip to Portugal has to be on your bucket list. I haven't been there in many years actually, but it's so beautiful. There's castles and vineyards and beautiful restaurants and little, like you said, villages that are right down on the beach. Now, you're from this small town in the north of Portugal. Did you start bodyboarding there? At what age did you start as well?
So this is a funny story. I started with 12.
Okay.
Wanted to start earlier, but my parents were really afraid because they almost got drowned on that exact beach.
Oh.
Yeah, a couple of years before. So they were kind of scared with that. And my first wetsuit, my mother basically went to the shop and asked for the coldest wetsuit she could get for her son.
Like the thickest wetsuit?
The coldest.
The coldest?
Yeah. So her idea was, okay, he's going to surf in the winter, he's going to bodyboard in the winter, he's going to bodyboard in the summer, sorry. He's not going to bodyboard in the winter.
Oh, she thought get you a thin suit that doesn't keep you warm and you wouldn't want to go in the water.
It was a shorty, legs and arms.
Oh my gosh.
And it was 2 sizes bigger than my size, so the water could enter.
And it didn't stop you,
no,
I'm guessing.
No. And I kind of turned into a mascot of Moledo's locals, you know, because I was this little kid. I was surfing every day. It's really cold, the water there in the winter, because you have all the ice that comes from the mountains to the river.
Oh, yeah.
And the wave that breaks there in the winter mostly is a river mouth wave.
Okay.
So they were kind of, who is this crazy kid, you know? Like, he doesn't get out of the water. So my nickname was Shaking Teeth.
Shaking teeth. In Portuguese, what is that?
Tremedente. Tremedente.
Tremor denta, right? Same Latin prefix as tremor and dental, right? Tremedenta. Yeah. That's so funny. So how did you start bodyboarding? Did you have friends who did it, or a family member that introduced you?
So we with strong links to that beach, we spent, since my first years, all the summer vacations were in that village.
Yep.
So I felt a strong connection to the ocean. Fortunately, my parents put me into swimming classes, so I was really confident in the ocean. And you know, by that time, the 90s, you know how things were. Like, bodyboard was really strong sport.
Yes.
And with all those lightning wetsuits and lightning colors, it was really beautiful.
Yep.
So I remember that I wasn't still allowed to bodyboard, but I would buy magazines, record everything I saw on the television. So I think I was a bodyboarder even before going into the water.
Yeah, you were hooked on it, and then that just cemented, as we would say in English, cemented your interest in the sport. The explosion at the time in the sport of bodyboarding was perfect timing for you. And so you were bodyboarding in that small town. Did you gravitate towards big waves? Did you like to take some risk in the water? Or was it a slow and gradual progression for you?
I always say that we never see the reality. It's always our perception of reality.
Yeah.
So eventually, the waves I saw for me seemed bigger than what they really were.
Right.
But I think that, like everybody, or almost everybody, some guys are just crazy for big waves.
Yeah.
It was a process.
Yeah.
A process. I remember I got really afraid, but I was still going there. Like, I never got on my comfort zone, you know, like I always tried to get a little bit bigger.
Right.
Probably they weren't that big, but for me they were.
No, I know. I was
time,
the same. Know? Yeah, slow progression, working my way up to bigger surf.
And you were an idol, by the way. Like I was watching
man.
you on the magazines and everything. Like, whoa.
Thanks.
So it's unbelievable to be here with you, surfing these beautiful waves and chatting with you, getting to know you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you start competing early?
Not really. Like, I competed a few times, but it wasn't my thing. Still it isn't. But I remember that when I was young, kind of stressed me a lot. So I didn't like the feeling. I surfed way worse than on the competition than my free surf. So yeah, it's not like a thing that I got hooked on.
Yeah.
No.
So you at some point moved to Porto. How old were you when you moved down there?
No, I'm. So in between Porto and Moledo, it's 1 hour away.
Okay.
So basically, I started bodyboarding there because my parents have a house there.
Okay.
So we would basically travel there like all weekends or all vacations. So I could bodyboard regularly there.
Good.
Then as I started to get more independence, I started bodyboarding in Porto as well during the weekdays, stuff like that. And then I moved to Lisbon when I finished the studies.
Got it. So we skipped over your studies though. So tell me about your studies, because we talked about law and naturopathy.
Yeah. So I finished the basic studies. So 12 years studying.
High school,
exactly. And I think by this time I'm 18 years old, so I think I wasn't mature enough to know what I wanted to be. So I kind of chose law because, well, I saw the television programs and
Really?
Yeah.
Law programs?
A lot of lawyers, you know,
Wow.
the series and stuff like that. And my ideal concept, utopic maybe, I thought I could change a little bit the world.
Good for you.
By becoming a lawyer and trying to fight for more justice in the world. But
yeah.
But in the middle of the studies, I understood, no, I don't want to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Anyway, I finished because I didn't know what I wanted to be.
Yes,
okay?
That's common at that age. A lot of people don't know what they want to be.
Yeah, I think we put too much pressure on the teenagers. Like, they're still discovering themselves.
Yeah.
And they should have at least 1 year, maybe, I wouldn't call it sabbatical, but trying different jobs on different areas.
Yeah. And in America, we call it a gap year.
Okay.
So you take a year to figure out maybe what you want to do or experience the world, maybe travel if
That's
you can.
In Portugal, that's not very common.
Yeah, it isn't.
No,
There's pressure for people to get a career immediately.
I think society, and you're going to lose 1 year.
Sure.
You're so young, you're not going to lose 1 year, you're going to earn it.
Yeah,
Some people just get into this rat cycle, studies, work, family, and they're
kind of trapped almost. They can't. It's too late. You can't travel and see the world at that point.
Have the life you're having now.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we did have that period when we had kids, and we had to stay closer to home to raise them. But then we were able to incorporate them into our travels, fortunately. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. So, when did you decide to study naturopathy, and why?
So, way more later. So basically, I was linked to law for a few years. Then I got other jobs.
What kind of jobs? In law?
Yes, I was like a lawyer's assistant.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really a lawyer. Then I passed through collections.
And you were in Lisbon working in an office.
Yes. Nothing
to
do what you know now.
Huh? Yes.
Well,
was it killing you, or did you like it?
I'm not going to say I liked it.
Yeah.
But I'm a very practical person, so I moved to Lisbon because I had a girlfriend there by that time.
Got it.
And Lisbon has really awesome waves.
Yeah.
Better than Porto. We're more consistent. So I got to ride better waves more consistently, and that kept me on having jobs that I didn't like so much. I think that was my force that kept me going.
Right. Understood.
Kept me going. And as I said, like I really didn't have nothing that I imagined I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I was already a surf coach while I was studying law, but I understood that job as a seasonal job by that time. But surfing industry developed a lot the last year, so right now it's a full-time job. So, yeah. And naturopathy, basically a lot of years later, I decided I didn't want to do more collections, and I needed to change my life. I needed to study again.
Wow.
So I was in between something related with personal training, maybe, because I like you, physical activity. I think it's super important for everything, bodyboarding included. Naturopathy too, because it just helps you being on a more functional way.
Yeah, explain to people who might not know what that is, what naturopathy is.
So naturopathy is basically a set of different therapies.
Yeah.
While the aim is to heal or maintain your health only by natural methods, okay, or mainly by natural methods. We can talk about nutrition. Probably for me, it's the one that I identify mostly. We can talk about aromatherapy, essential oils, acupuncture, homeopathy, phytotherapy, herbs, just goes on, Then at one point you have to specify what you really are more into.
And focus on that area.
Yeah, so basically avoiding chemicals and try to heal your body by itself.
So you are a person who makes it a priority to eat very healthy and live very healthy. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's difficult sometimes when you're traveling. Yeah. Oh, you have a sweet tooth. Yeah?
I like. But yeah, I try to avoid.
What's your favorite sweets?
Chocolate.
Yes.
Chocolate. And you?
I love chocolate chip cookies. Love them. And I have a huge sweet tooth as well.
Yeah.
I don't eat as healthy as you do, but I aspire to, have a balance. Sometimes I'll have a cheeseburger or pizza, but then the next day I'll have a veggie sandwich or something.
And a lot of times you do them homemade, right?
Yes, I do. Sure. I try to eat at home. It's because it's cheaper and it's easier to make healthy food, I think, at home if you buy the ingredients.
Of course. Way better.
Yeah, that's right. So now you're back up in Porto. So how did you end up back up there?
So basically I decided to study again.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to study and work full-time job. So basically I called my parents and asked them if they wanted their little kid, which wasn't that little now, to come back. So I came back to Porto. Yeah. The thing that got me hooked in Lisbon were the waves.
Yeah.
Still made awesome friends, and every time I go there I try to visit most of them. It's hard because there are a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Big hug for you, Mouros. So I went to Porto and I was like, oh, now the waves aren't going to be so good, you know?
Yeah.
And that was my main thing, that I really didn't want to move to Porto just because of that.
Yeah.
But I had to make that decision. I made
Sure.
it. I'm super happy with that. And believe it or not, like I believe in the energy of the universe. So what happened is when I moved to Porto, Mave called me like 3 days after or 4 days, something like that.
Matt Davies, yeah.
It's crazy. Mave Davies, yeah. Called me asking if I wanted to work for Bodyboard Holidays.
No way. Like 3-4 days after you moved there, and you had no job or anything at that point, right?
No, I went from Lisbon to Porto with a job.
Okay, got it.
Like an Airbnb host.
Okay.
Yeah. Flexible.
Yeah.
But it's unbelievable because I kind of gave up a little bit on bodyboarding, you know, like stopping a teenager and living in Lisbon just because you want to ride better waves, and all the rest of your life is getting like stuck.
Yep.
And moved to Porto of abdicating, it's how we say, abdicating a little bit on bodyboard.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 days after, the universe gives me a present through Mave, asking if I want to work with bodyboard, which was always my dream, you know?
Yeah, so you just went, this is meant to be. It's like the energy of the universe that you talked about.
Crazy story.
And so the job that Mave presented to you, and by the way, I'll put the link to my interview with Mave in the description down below, which I did last year. So the job he offered you with Bodyboard Holidays was to host the groups that Bodyboard Holidays sends to Portugal. Is that right?
Back in Sintra at that time.
Okay, so the groups were coming to Sintra back then, and when was that? How long ago?
We're talking about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
6 years.
So, did your connections with Airbnb as a host help you to secure a place for the guests? No,
you know how they are. They already had everything set up.
Got it.
I just had to be a bodyboard coach.
Yeah. And so how did you prove to, well, Mave already knew you.
Yeah.
And obviously he was working for Rob. So he said, yeah, you need to hire this guy. He speaks fluent English, which you do. Amazing. Blows my mind. By the way, side note, how did you learn to speak English so well?
My mother is actually was an English teacher.
Oh.
Yeah. But I think I was already good at it because I remember I used to watch a lot of movies. Yeah.
American movies.
Yeah, American movies, exactly.
Right.
And I would find the last words on the subtitles.
Yes.
And I would hear them. Perfect. So I would get some words out of it.
I really feel like some people have a proclivity, is a word I'm going to use, for learning language. Other people don't. In other words, some people, it's very easy for them to learn a language. I don't know why. There's something in some people's brain where they can pick it up very easily.
It's true.
I am not that person. I can barely speak enough Spanish to get by, but
your Spanish is good. I've already seen it.
Well, thank you. And you translate Portuguese, Spanish, English. You've been helping a lot down here to translate, and your Spanish is great too. So we got off track. So you got this job offer, and you immediately said, I'm in, absolutely.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah, but it's only a short-term thing because there's only a couple of Portugal trips a year.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It wasn't like a serious income.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, it's always a good extra.
Yep.
And yeah, things got more serious, and right now I'm doing Costa Rica and El Salvador, as you know. So
Yep.
yeah, all good. And I became a bodyboard coach at another school.
Yeah, tell me
Porto.
how that happened.
Another funny story. So most of the lessons we give in this school is on a beginner's beach, which is a beach I don't appreciate it that much. The waves aren't so good, and the environment, I don't like it so much as well. But it's perfect for beginning
Sure.
the sport. And so I didn't knew the flow amount they had of lessons. So anyway, COVID came. I lost my other job as an Airbnb host, and well, I had to reinvent myself again. And I remember that I was in Moledo. I spent the whole COVID in Moledo. Great waves, the whole COVID. For me, the COVID was a great time.
And they didn't close the beach in Portugal?
Well, they closed a few times, but most of the time you could surf.
Good.
And the banks were really good.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. Then COVID ended, and I came back to Porto.
Yeah.
Because the banks were good there as well. And I was bodyboarding with Tiago Fazendeiro. I don't know if you know, a big wave rider.
I know, I've heard the name. Yeah.
Okay. So I was bodyboarding with him, and he's my colleague. He's a coach there. And he used to give the formation at the university. So I basically asked him if I could get the degree. And he said, no, because of COVID, everything now is locked. But do you want to give lessons? I was, yeah, sure. So basically I started the next week, but I thought, okay, they're going to need me for a couple of lessons during the summer. No.
It's every day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. So now I work for them as a bodyboard coach and surfing instructor as well, only for beginners because my surfing isn't that good.
It's good enough for beginners.
Yeah, for beginners, yeah.
So you're in the sun all day long, and how many days a week do you work during the busy season?
During the busy season, sometimes I don't have days off.
Wow.
Yeah, so I try to make the most out of it.
Yeah.
So I have a deal with the school, and I work a lot during the summer. Then I compensate in the winter. The waves are better. The flow of lessons isn't so big.
Yeah.
So it's good for everybody. You know? It's a win-win.
You get to come to places like this.
Yeah.
In the winter, when it's freezing over there anyway.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you do lessons again.
Yeah, and the waves are better at this season now.
Sure.
Too,
so you have a good rhythm going now with your coaching. You get to come on the Bodyboard Holidays trip and enjoy tropical paradise in the coldest time of year. Do you have any aspirations for something different for yourself in the future, or are you fine with your life as it is right now?
So I'm very going with the flow person.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy with the life I have right now.
Yep.
Honestly speaking, I don't have any big goal. Probably the biggest goal would be achieving my total independence, because I still live with my parents.
Yeah.
It was kind of a decision of being financially trapped or
freedom.
But But it's okay because they also have 2 houses, so I'm in between Porto and Moledo, and they too. And I love to be with them, of course.
Yeah.
It was a good reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have brothers or sisters?
I have a brother. He lives in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he's not a surfer or bodyboarder?
He was like, when I started, he went into surfing like 1-2 years, but then it wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
He's more like a technology guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So yeah, I would say that's my biggest goal for now.
Yeah.
But always staying happy. That's the major thing.
Well, I love your outlook on life. You're trying to live healthy, keep your stress levels low, and you're certainly a tremendous asset to Bodyboard Holidays. I see how you deal with the clients on these trips, most of whom are at beginner levels of bodyboarding, and sometimes experiencing a tube ride for the first time in their life, or a 360, something that a lot of advanced bodyboarders like yourself take as second nature. You take in the enjoyment that these people have and share it with them. And I feel the same when I come on these trips. That's why I love it. There's no egos with the guests. You know, they're just smiling from ear to ear on the smallest wave or doing the smallest maneuver, because it's an achievement for them. And we've all been there when we started riding, and to me it brings me back to when I started and why I started bodyboarding, because of those little advancements at the beginning of bodyboarding. I think those, to me, are the most exciting parts of it.
Definitely.
What do you get out of working with beginners and teaching them?
No, that's totally what you said. It's totally the way I identify.
Yeah.
So I think whether we realize it or not, we relive a little bit our beginner season through them.
Yes.
You know, we really relive those moments, that first barrel or that first trimming on a green wave.
Yes.
It's a crazy feeling, you know, like when they are just going on the white washes and they get a little bit, okay, what more?
Right.
And then they ride the green wave, they're like super stoked.
Yes.
You get stoked too, you know. Like,
you do.
You
remember, like you said, you remember those feelings from for me, many years ago. But that's what I love most about it. And, you know, in terms of your, you know, you mentioned you're very happy with what's going on in your life right now. I love to hear that. You seem to be a very low stress guy. You said you're a go with the flow kind of guy. Mm-hmm. After this trip, are you going to go back and you'll be doing more lessons once we return from here?
Well, it depends on the flow. I never know.
Yeah.
But right now it's still low season. I would say that from May on, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Right now, a couple of lessons. Well, the school I work at has some interesting projects, like kids that are on a lower social level, have some kind of difficulties. We try to help them, and we give some regular lessons on those. Usually I'm in charge of that.
Yeah.
Some tourists, but still a low season. Good for riding waves.
Yeah.
So right now I want to ride more waves.
What's the name of the school that you work at?
It's called Linha de Onda.
Okay.
Okay, so...
Which means, Onda means wave. What's linha?
So linha...
Like
strict translation is line of wave.
Got it.
So it's basically your flow, your style. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Now, do you have sponsors as well? Now's your chance. You can talk about them if you want. It's fine.
All right. So I'm going to talk about competition. Huh?
Yeah, that's totally fine, man.
So it's I have the sponsor from Grua. It's a bodyboard shop from a friend of mine. Basically, it's called Cane. In Portuguese, because the local beach has a cane.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm sponsored by Severn, the clothing company, and from Suntribe too, Suntribe sunscreen. They are organic sunscreens.
And you must wear a lot of that if you're out giving lessons all day.
Definitely.
Are you wearing a thick wetsuit? Because if I was in the water all day, I'd be in a 5 mil wetsuit, booties. Because you're in and out of the water constantly.
I use everything, Jay. Like some days we really need it. Like we're lots of hours when it's windy. In Portugal, the water temperature floats a lot according to the wind and the swell direction.
Yeah.
So our main wind and I wouldn't say main swell direction, but the main wind is north.
Yep.
And when it combines with north swell, also it gets freezing.
So,
especially there.
What is the coldest it gets? And you can tell me in Celsius.
I would say 12 to 13 degrees.
Okay, so that's in the low to mid 50s in Fahrenheit. It's chilly to be giving lessons in, for sure.
And it's really humid.
Yeah. And sometimes windy, and the air is cold, especially in winter.
Super. And then you're not moving that much on the lessons. At least the way I like to give lessons with beginners. Well, if they are full beginners, you push them, so you warm up a little bit.
Yep.
But as you give them a little bit more independence, you start moving less. Depends on the days as well.
Right.
But yeah, it gets cold.
And that's a very physical job that you do.
Yeah, but I'm not going to complain about my office.
Yeah, right. The office is the best, man, in the sun and vitamin D. So you're doing the lessons right now. What I wanted to ask you was, with your sponsors, I saw a YouTube video of you that was shot when you turned 40 years old.
Oh, yeah,
and at the beginning, you're recovering from an injury. This is a pretty major injury. Talk about that injury to your shoulder.
Okay, so on this day, I was with my friends. We surfed in the morning. Pretty crappy waves because the forecast wasn't aligning. And I realized that in the afternoon, the waves could be better at another spot. Almost 1 hour of driving. But before that, we had like really good waves for 1 month, like almost daily.
Wow.
So everybody was belly full, everybody was lazy. I wasn't, I'm like you, we're always hungry.
I'm out there, yeah.
So I decided, no, I'm gonna check the spot. And yeah, I went alone, nobody wanted to come with me. I arrived to the spot, it was pumping, left-hander wedge, which is my favorite kind of wave. Saw some waves, just decided to get in. It wasn't that big, but it was powerful. And I remember I pedaled out to the first wave, couldn't get into the wave. And then another wave came and I was on the X zone. Got in the wave, huge barrel, like 4 or 5 seconds barrel, always looking at the ramp. And then I decided to hit the ramp and went straight into the flats, really big hard landing, and I think I opened the elbow a little bit, so I'm not sure because we're talking about fractions of second, right? But I think that probably happened. I opened the elbow, so then my shoulder stretched, and I immediately felt, okay, I'm not injured.
I did something
F-word, everything here.
Yeah, right.
I felt it. So I was alone at this spot with only one fisherman. Yeah, actually the fisherman yelled at me like when I was doing the air, because he was on the pier.
He was cheering for you?
Yeah. Crazy moment. So went from paradise to hell in half a second.
So what did you do?
So, well, it was easy to exit the water, unfortunately. Yeah, and by the way, that's one thing I would like to talk about. It's just unconscious to surf alone, like even when it's small, something can happen.
Yeah.
People faint in the street. Something can happen, so we never dominate nature, and for sure you don't want something to happen in the water, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, skipping forward, I got an inside wave, easy whitewash, only grabbing on one arm, of course. Went to land, and I was feeling my shoulder, and you feel bone until the end, and then muscle. You have your muscle here, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't feel any muscle. Oh my God. Crazy story. So I went to the fisherman and I asked him, by any chance, I know this is a stupid question, do you know how to put shoulders in place? Of course, answer no. So I was trying, because this is a really remote place. I was 1 hour away from the closest hospital.
And you drove yourself there?
No, I was very lucky. So 2 guys came to the beach. One of them was a bodyboarder. And again, I asked them the same question. They didn't know, so they helped me taking off the wetsuit. And they called an ambulance. I went to the hospital. So my body was already 1 hour fully contracted, like I was with my biceps, my lats, everything was on a really big muscle contraction, probably trying to put the shoulder back in place. I'm not sure. So I went to the hospital, and the doctor was trying to put it on place. He couldn't. Then
that must have been painful.
Yeah.
So pushing on it.
A little bit, yeah. I thought it was worse, honestly, but yeah, it was painful. Last resource, he called like a really tall guy, an employee from the hospital. He brought some bed sheets, wrapped around my body like diagonally. So then the doctor was pulling me shoulder one side and he was tractioning to the other.
Oh, and that worked?
No.
Oh.
No. So last attempt, he said, okay, if you do more strength, you're gonna break your arm or something like that. So the next step will have to be anesthesia.
Yeah.
Okay, to relax all the muscles.
Yeah.
Then the doctor asked me, when was the last time you ate?
Sure.
And right before going to the ambulance, I ate a banana.
Oh no.
Because I thought, this pain is going to get worse.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to faint or something like that. So maybe I'm going to eat something with a little bit of sugar.
Yeah.
So had to wait like 6 hours or something.
Oh
like
my God. So they give you at least painkillers?
Well, they were trying to, but it was a village hospital. Didn't work out exactly like that. So I was holding the arm like this.
Oh.
There was this crazy dude that was screaming with all the nurses, wanted to spank the doctors. Yeah. I was more afraid that guy, ran onto me because he was out of his mind. Yeah, crazy. The security is there all over the place.
Wow.
So yeah, then went back home with the help of some friends of mine.
But they did eventually give you anesthesia.
Yeah.
And then they were able to pop it back into place. Yeah.
But then I had to do a surgery afterwards.
Yeah. Wow.
2 screws. Fortunately, with a very qualified doctor and friend, bodyboarder, and a father of two students of mine, 2 bodyboarders.
Oh, perfect.
So, like specialized in shoulders.
Okay.
So again, the universe aligned everything.
Yeah. Wow. So you were out for about 6 months.
Yeah.
With that injury, yes?
Yeah. Well, I returned to the water like 3 to 4 months after, but I couldn't do any moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Well, we start appreciating things we took for granted.
Yes.
Like just having a meal was already good for me,
Yes.
Then of course going to the ocean, really good. And then after a couple of months you're like, okay, I want more. I want to do the maneuvers I used to do.
Right. How did you stay fit while you were waiting for the healing?
For the physiotherapy, I had to swim a lot.
Okay.
Helped me. Then, because I couldn't do any weights, obviously, I walked a lot, just moving.
Yep.
And as soon as I could do body weight training, I just started. I remember I wasn't even able to do 1 push-up by the time. Crazy. Yeah.
Crazy. So you talked about let's go to favorite waves. You said it's wedge lefts. And there's probably a particular wave, you probably don't want to name it, but it's in Portugal.
Yeah.
And do you surf that place a lot with wedging lefts?
Yeah, so that is the spot. It's a little bit further south than Porto, 1 hour away. We have other 2 wedges, left-hander as well.
Yep.
In Lessa and in Espinho, although they don't work so often. Moledo has a special place in my heart and has good waves too. And then you got Nazaré, Super Tubos, although Nazaré can wedge a lot also.
Yeah, really peaky.
Yeah, very peaky. And Cova has wonderful wedges. And down south also, in Sagres, we have lots of wedges. Yeah, we have loads of wedges in Portugal.
Amazing.
If you want ramps, come to Portugal.
Well, Pierre lives there, obviously, probably for the same reason, because he loves wedgy, peaky waves. And some of the best bodyboarders in the world come from Portugal from way back in the day. Were there any Portuguese riders that were influential to you when you were young?
Yes, lots of them, like Gonçalo Faria.
Yeah.
We call it Ratinho. You know him for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
He competed on the tour at the same time I did. Yeah.
Paulinho Costa.
Yes.
Actually, he moved to Porto, so now I surfed with him a lot of times.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Big hug to you, Paulinho.
Yeah.
So good influences on north of Portugal. I had João Zamit, and then now my boss Manuel Centeno. Younger generation, but still older than me. Nuno Azevedo also, another boss of mine. So and the new generation just shreds. Cocorellis, António Saraiva, Miguel Coelho, Miguel Adão.
The young guys.
Daniel
of course,
Fonseca.
Vicente.
Oh yeah.
Little Vicente.
Yeah. Shredder.
He's in Morocco as we record this, competing in the IBC event. Now, do you have a lot of encounters with, say, Pierre? Because obviously he doesn't live where you live, but you guys maybe meet up at some good spots occasionally?
Yeah, when I was living in Lisbon, I used to cross a lot with PLC.
Yes.
Which, by the way, sometimes it isn't so cool, huh, PLC? Let me explain you why. Sometimes the waves are just bad. And you just see this guy pulling airs all over the place. It's all wonderful because you get inspired. But sometimes you think the waves are better than they actually are.
Yeah. Look at this guy's doing air. It must be fire.
Yeah. And actually, it's not. So.
Right.
But yeah, he's a wonderful guy to be in the water. Super humble. Not a mad dog running after waves, you know.
Good.
Yeah, and cross him mostly with him in Nazaré.
Yeah.
In Super Tubos, and in Cova too.
Got it.
So where I live at, the coast is like west oriented.
Yep.
So we don't get all these sheltered spots. So when it's big and north wind, I have to travel down south a lot of times.
Got it.
And that's where I cross him mostly nowadays.
Like Carcavelos is kind of good on north wind and big swell. It faces more south.
Yeah.
Swell has to wrap around, right? Yeah.
Carcavelos, Super Tubos, Cova.
Oh yeah.
All that area.
They're all protected.
North wind.
Yeah.
Bigger swells.
International riders. We're not talking about guys in Portugal. Mm-hmm. Is there any that you'd like to watch?
Well, when I was starting, Mike Stewart was biggest reference, of course.
Because you're a prone rider, I should point that out.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen you drop me.
No, you won't want to see unless you want to laugh a little bit.
That's great.
Have to be coached by Matt and you.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Thank you. So Mike Stewart for sure.
Yeah, Mike Stewart was a big influence by the time. Guilherme Tâmega, Apple.
Yeah.
Apple, he totally reinvented the sport, right?
Yes.
Jeff Hubbard.
Yeah.
By the way, thanks for the board, Jeff.
Shing interview with Jeff down below. I'll link that as well.
And nowadays, like I love the Aussies.
Yeah.
Of course, all that golden generation, Ben Player, Mitch Rollins, Ryan Hardy.
Yep.
They're still an inspiration every time I get to see them. And right now, PLC, Nick Cornell. I love to watch Nick Cornell. And for me, the best rider in the world right now, competition and free surf, is Tanner.
Interesting.
The Chileans are very good too. No,
yes.
It's everywhere. Canarians, crazy.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, as you know, I get to do commentary on IBC sometimes, and I meet new people, new riders that are coming up that I've never heard of.
Yeah. And
they're just really good bodyboarders. A few years ago, I had never heard of Armides Oliveras, our current world champion, and that guy he's awesome. He's awesome, incredible rider. And there's so many more coming up the ranks. I'd love to see that. Any places that you haven't traveled to that you would like to? Do you have any bucket list destinations, as we say?
Actually, probably that's one of my biggest regrets. It's not traveling so much, so I didn't do that many travels.
Okay.
So there's a lot of places on the bucket list. I would say that Tahiti for sure.
You want to try Teahupo'o, they pronounce it.
Yeah, not big, but not that big, because I'm not that big wave rider fan.
Right.
But they have other spots too, and I would love to surf Teahupo'o, not huge Teahupo'o for sure.
Right.
Canaries, Mexico. Well, there's so many spots to explore. Panama.
Yeah. You're young. You have plenty of time. I mean, I'm almost 61. You're 20 years younger than me, so the world is your oyster, as we say. As you go through your life, you may get those opportunities. You never know.
If I keep on being like you, healthy, and that's it. You're a true inspiration, Jay.
Thanks, man.
A lot of people, we don't even have to go to our ages.
Yeah.
A lot of people with 30 years old are old.
Yeah, they give up.
Yeah.
They just go, oh, man, I'm too old for that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You heard that a lot. It's crazy.
I
crazy.
Can't understand it. It's hard for me to even imagine stopping doing this because it's so much fun to ride waves. And sometimes you may need to make compromises. Like, I won't surf big waves anymore. I don't like big waves anymore. I just enjoy fun-sized waves, maybe a little bit overhead. That's fine for me. I'm not going to hit the lip on a 8-foot wave and land in the flats. That's not something I want to do anymore.
Still smashing your collarbone, huh?
Still smashing, yep, still smashing the collarbone. But yeah, it's just you make little modifications, but you keep your fitness and your health, good habits. Stretching to me is very important. Flexibility, I think, especially as you get older, strength and flexibility decrease. So anything you can do to stave that off, I think, is super important the older you get. But you're far from that point, and you're a very healthy guy.
Try to.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's awesome. So any final words? Anyone you want to thank? Anything you want to say before we finish up?
Yeah, well, I'd just like to thank, of course, my parents that brought me to my world and allowed me to bodyboard. All the people that crossed ways on this beautiful journey, which is bodyboarding with me, bodyboarders, friends, beach guys, everything. My bosses, Rob, Mave, you, awesome, Vicky, like everyone is. It's just such a beautiful journey, you know. Sometimes you just cross 1 or 2 days with somebody, but that moment is so special.
Yeah.
I would like to include everybody, you know, like being in the water is magical for everybody.
Yes.
So yeah, just keep on riding and sharing the stoke.
You heard it from Joao Veiga. Those words are a perfect way to finish this episode. Thanks very much, Joal.
Thanks, Jay. It
I
was
appreciate
a pleasure
it,
and
my
honor.
brother. Yeah, and I look forward to hopefully continuing to work with you here in Central America every year. As long as we're still breathing, we're still going to be coming to beautiful places like this.
And come to Portugal too, huh?
Oh yeah, I have to get back over there. I would love to. Thank you.
I'll show you the secrets.
Oh, okay. Shh. I won't bring the camera though, folks. You won't know where it is. So folks, thanks for watching this episode of The Real Deal Show. If you watched on YouTube, give us the thumbs up. Throw down some comments for Joal. We'll try to get him to answer those. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you listened on the audio podcast, hope you enjoyed that during your workout or your drive or whatever else you do when you listen to podcasts. And we will see you next time, and we will see you in the surf. Ciao.